Just ahead on CTV News, body cam footage is released from last month's fatal police-involved shooting. Plus, the juvenile justice bill continues to move forward. And you might be surprised, but rent prices are going down in the DMV. All that and more, up next.
Good evening. This is CTV News for March 5th. I'm Patricia Vallone. Thank you for joining us. Well, the Maryland Attorney General's office has released body cam footage of a deadly officer-involved shooting that took place in Suitland last month. Note, some viewers might find the video disturbing. It happened on February 1st. Police were called to this 5100 block of Suitland Road on the report of breaking and entering. Investigators say an officer entered the apartment and immediately encountered 31-year-old Melvin J., who lived in the unit. Police say the two got into a verbal exchange that led to the gunfire, killing J. Investigators say weapons were found in the home.
In addition to the gun in Mr. J's jacket pocket, a second gun was located in the kitchen sink next to where the shooting occurred. Since the shooting, the Prince George's County Police Department has identified the man who took the items from the apartment that day. He is a family member of the 911 caller. The investigation revealed that family member informed the 911 caller he was coming over to take the caller's property. This fact was not shared on the 911 call for help. The 911 caller also did not inform the 911 call taker that the two men he knew, to include Mr. J, were in his apartment when he left approximately 25 minutes earlier.
The officer who fired his weapon has been identified as Braxton Shelton. The Attorney General's Independent Investigations Division is continuing its investigation into the incident. An embattled Prince George's Circuit Court judge is facing new allegations from Maryland's Judicial Discipline Commission. The new allegations accused Judge April Ademiluyi of improperly sharing confidential materials from the investigation into her misconduct and retaliating against other judges. The first allegations came last year when the Commission on Judicial Disabilities filed documents charging that the judge refused to participate in training, showed bias toward criminal defendants, and was demeaning toward colleagues and staff. The Maryland Supreme Court is still considering a censure and at least 2 months unpaid suspension, with the potential for more if Ademiluyi does not complete a 1-year probationary period. Well, the Maryland Senate gives final approval Monday to its version of a juvenile justice bill. The legislation, which would bring stricter accountability measures for juvenile offenders, passed out of the chamber 43-2. Senators Jill Carter and Charles Sidnor, both from Baltimore, cast the only opposition votes. The House passed its version of the bill last Friday. Both chambers will have to address several policy differences, including discrepancies in what children 10 to 12 can be charged with. The legislation came as a response to complaints of rising crimes among youth, including car thefts, carjackings, and firearm charges. Delegate Gabrielle Acevedo was one of 6 House members who voted against the measure.
The fact that we were willing to roll back after 18 months, pretty much the significant work that we had done in 2022, I couldn't support that. I firmly believe that when it comes to juvenile justice, it should be evidence-based. We should be listening to stakeholders and those who not only have worked in this area, but understand that we could use policy differently so that we are helping our kids and not necessarily hurting them. And so we have to look away from mass incarceration as a solution to all of our young people's problems and really to public safety. We have to ensure that we are looking at diversionary programs. We're looking at accountability that balances the rights of kids.
Now, both versions of the current bill need approval from the opposite chamber before heading to the governor's desk for his signature. These measures are a response to the Juvenile Justice Reform Act of 2022, which was crafted after 2 years of study from the Juvenile Justice Reform Council. Well, as the fight for Maryland's Senate race heats up, one candidate gets endorsements from 3 national organizations. Angela Alsobrooks receives the backing of End Citizens United, Reproductive Freedom for All, and Emily's List. Alsobrooks is vying for a seat in the U.S. Senate, but faces challengers such as Representative David Trone and former Governor Larry Hogan. During a press conference in Silver Spring, the group say Alsobrooks is the person who will protect abortion rights and defend American democracy.
There has never been a more crucial time to ensure that we have leaders in Congress who are fierce advocates for reproductive freedom in our democracy, and that is exactly who Angela Alsobrooks is. We know that Angela is the only candidate in this race who will never compromise on reproductive freedom. We know she will never stop fighting for abortion rights.
This is a people-powered campaign. This is about people. It is not about money. Marylanders are savvy. They have seen this all before. And I know that at the end of this race on May 14th, the people of Maryland are going to vote based on the issues. They're going to be voting based on our record. And when they consider those things, they're going to vote for me.
And Maryland's presidential primary is set for May 14th. Well, the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, is urging Muslims to get out and vote today. 16 states are up for grabs on this Super Tuesday, including Virginia. CAIR says there are some 600,000 Muslim voters in those states. The organization is urging Muslims to make their voices heard and vote for a candidate or vote uncommitted, as recent exit polls conducted last month by CAIR indicated that 94% of American Muslims who voted in the Democratic primary in Michigan voted uncommitted. The move was seen as a rebuke to President Biden's policies regarding the Israeli-Gaza war. Well, Prince George's police investigate a shooting that wounded a man and a minor in Seat Pleasant. Officers were in the area of the 6800 block of Gregg Street when they heard gunshots go off yesterday evening. Police found a minor suffering from gunshot wounds. The victim was taken to the hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. Police say a short time later, a man walked into a nearby hospital, also suffering from gunshot wounds. Anyone with information on the incident is asked to contact police at 1-866-411-TIPS. Well, one woman is dead and a man wounded in a stabbing in Morningside. Officers responded about 12:30 this afternoon for a report of a stabbing at a laundromat in the 4900 block of Allentown Road across the street from Joint Base Andrews. When they arrived, they found a woman inside who had been stabbed. She was pronounced dead at the scene. A man also had stab wounds and was taken to an area hospital. No information on a suspect has been released, but police say there is no threat to the community. Anyone with information on the case should call 1-866-411-TIPS. And with election season underway, the Maryland Attorney General is urging voters to be aware of election scams. Anthony Brown says the scams typically involve robocalls impersonating real campaigns, candidates, or a celebrity's voice. Often the goal is to steal your identity or convince you not to exercise your right to vote. Officials warn the voices could have been generated by artificial intelligence. If you think you have received an election scam call, reach out to the AG's Consumer Protection Division at 410-528-8862. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone. Still to come, State's Attorney Aisha Bravoy calls for more penalties on organized crime, and care workers rally for better wages. Don't go away. CTV News will be right back.
I surrender.
All right, pal.
Hey, Dad, do we have a gun?
What's up?
Do we have a gun?
Why do you ask that, kiddo?
Can I play with it?
No, absolutely not. It's not a toy. You know that. Anyway, I need it to protect you, your sister, and Mom.
But what about the 8 kids who get shot every day by mistake?
Where'd you hear that?
Where do you keep it?
It's hidden.
I bet it's on the top shelf of the closet, under your sweatshirts. Is it loaded? Remember when I found my Christmas gifts? You always told me to be curious.
No, that's not what I meant.
And when it's just me and Mom, I could use the gun to protect her.
No, Justin, I promise. I'm always here for you.
But Dad, you're not always here.
Sunshine through today with seasonal temperatures. We should reach our normal high of about 82 degrees by this afternoon. Clear skies tonight with a low near 70.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
See, Smokey thinks I'm funny.
You budget. You pay bills.
Yet somehow, women like you, like me,
are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to save ourselves by setting a goal to save 2% more of our income for our retirement.
Why 2? 1% honors you.
And 1% honors all womankind.
So come on, learn more about the 2% challenge at WeSaySaveIt.org.
Welcome back. Well, Prince George's State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy and Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates were in Annapolis today with lawmakers to push for an expansion of the current organized crime statute that is in response to the increase of gang violence and carjackings, drug trafficking, and economic crimes in Maryland. HB 1063 would significantly broaden the range of underlying offenses considered organized crime.
House Bill 1063 addresses a critically important and necessary change in the law that seeks to improve how we hold criminal organizations accountable. As a seasoned criminal justice professional, we have unique perspectives on the inner workings of prosecuting offenders and where the system is flawed.
House Bill 1063 includes as an underlying offense the removal or falsification of vehicle identification numbers under Section 14-107 of the Transportation Article.
It was a no-brainer for me to sponsor this legislation because of the concerns that I heard from mothers and from fathers about the stories that they were hearing from their kids going to school and being fearful of the other children that they were going to school with.
Now seniors are scared to walk to their cars or go to the grocery store in broad daylight because they might get carjacked.
And HB 1063 has been cross-filed in the Senate. If the legislation passes, it would go into effect on October 1st. The Caring Across Maryland Coalition is advocating for multiple bills affecting domestic care workers. The coalition is asking delegates to back legislation that would ensure fair wages, proper worker classification, and establish supportive infrastructure for family caregivers.
Me being a home care worker, being misclassified, not getting the full benefits of being an employee it's detrimental to my family, to any home care worker's family. We expect to take home a decent paycheck. We're not getting it.
We need to have a good salary, which we can support our payments, our bills, our house. We don't have enough income.
And the meeting is part of a broader effort led by the National Domestic Workers Alliance. Its purpose is to raise standards for the direct care workforce and improve care for recipients. Well, we now know the name of the person who was shot and killed in Tacoma Park over the weekend. He's been identified as 40-year-old Derek Coleman. At 7:15 a.m. on Sunday, officers responded to the 6700 block of New Hampshire Avenue for the report of a shooting. That's where they found Coleman in the stairwell of the Tacoma Towers apartment building, suffering from a gunshot wound. He was pronounced dead on the scene. Detectives are still working to determine a motive and identify a suspect. Anyone with information on the case is asked to call 301-516-2512. The Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission has released its townhouse report, and it says that townhouses are on the rise. The tide turned in 2017 when new townhouses outpaced single-family homes. District 6 takes the lead in townhouse living, and District 3 has the smallest number. The county boasts more than 350,000 residential units. It's the principle of supply and demand at work. Real estate company Redfin says many landlords across the country have been lowering rents. The reason? A boom in apartment building construction. According to Redfin, many of those properties are vacant, and that's forcing landlords to lower their rents. In 2023, median monthly rent prices hit a high of more than $2,000. That has since fallen to just above $1,900. Other factors contributing to lower prices, economists say, include economic uncertainty. And a Prince George's council member is sounding off on the recent delay to the completion of the Purple Line. Council member Eric Olson of District 3 says it's disappointing to have another delay in the 16-mile light rails. The Maryland Transit Administration recently announced that the Purple Line is expected to be finished by December of 2027, months after its current deadline, or its previous deadline. During a MTA briefing yesterday, the agency says construction is expected to be out of the roadway by spring of 2026.
I think that, all the last year, year and a half, or almost 2 years of the project will be mostly within where the actual rails are and that kind of thing. So I think once we get to 2026, we should be pretty free and clear along our roadways.
Once completed, the Purple Line will have 21 stations. Well, Prince George's firefighters respond to a house fire in Landover. It happened in the 500 block of Peacock Drive just after 7 yesterday evening. When crews arrived, they found a 2-story townhouse with smoke showing fire in the laundry room. No one was injured. The Prince George's County Office of Emergency Management is assisting one adult who was displaced due to the fire. This just into the CTV newsroom, or rather, we still have more to come on CTV News. We have a traffic alert beginning Thursday night, and an old library gets a facelift. Those stories and more when we return.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 in the morning, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. He asked all his therapists to help him undertake some of the house chores. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. Remember the best planned 90 minutes of your life? Or that surprise party for your parents' golden anniversary? You get the golden planning. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
We need to go meet the guys. I'm lit. Can you drive?
Pool party at Jesse's. Can you drive? Will you drive? I'm a little toasty.
Nope.
Nope.
Nope, I'm high. But I can order us a ride.
Okay.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, we have a traffic alert for you this evening. The State Highway Administration will be performing routine maintenance on the Woodrow Wilson Bridge this week. The agency says that several times overnight there will be brief openings of the drawbridge, resulting in full stops in both directions, lasting 15 to 20 minutes. Weather permitting, work will be at 11 p.m. on Thursday, March 7th, and is expected to be finished by 8 a.m. on Friday, March 8th. The Council for American Private Education holds its annual non-public school advocacy day at the Maryland General Assembly. Students from private schools across the state came to rally for measures like the Boost Scholarship Program, which funds scholarships for low-income students to attend private schools. Students had the opportunity to watch the legislative session and later met with lawmakers to advocate for bills.
About 300 or so students who've joined us today from across the state to go ahead and ask their legislators and leaders to continue to support non-public schools, to continue funding the Boost program. The Boost program maxed out of its funds right out of the gate, so there was enough interest and applicants for $18 million of funding, and there was only $9 million in the budget for the program. So we're asking for full funding for Boost.
Many people think of private schools, or as we say, non-public schools here in Maryland, as very expensive or elite schools, so to speak. Schools that come down here to advocate for state funding, those are not those schools. These are lower and middle income parents that send their kids to low tuition charging Catholic schools, Jewish day schools, other Protestant schools, Muslim schools, and schools that are, of course, secular in their curriculum too as well, that don't charge a very high tuition. So these are students and parents that need help and assistance just as much as their public school counterparts do.
And 1 in 7 students in Maryland attends a non-public school. Well, the Biden-Harris administration just announced the application period for the fall session White House internship program. Starting March 11th, those interested can apply at wh.gov/intern. The program provides paid internships across the executive office of the president. Interns participating in the internship program will support the White House office and the office of the vice president. The session begins September 2024. After years of renovations, a county-run library is finally opening to the public. The Surratt's Clinton Branch Library held its soft opening yesterday. The library, which is located in the southern part of the county, has been closed since 2019 as it underwent renovations. The facility now includes a larger children's area known as Discovery Bay, a computer lab, a conference room, and 6 study rooms for children and teens.
Community had a long wait, almost 5 years, and so they were very excited and ready to get back into this space. Some of the programs were story times. They were so popular with our community. We will have story times back again. We also had STEM story times as well, so that families could come in and do some fun, quick, and easy science experiments.
It felt really nice because I haven't been in a library in a long time, and I've always loved books and reading. And I look forward to just getting as many books as I can and going home and try to read them all before I had to turn them back in.
And the Surratt's Clinton Branch Library will follow the same hours as the other county-run libraries. The date of the official grand opening event has yet to be set. Well, it took a federal jury less than an hour to convict a district man who robbed 2 Baltimore County phone stores. 24-year-old Dante Herring was found guilty following an 8-day trial for his roles in robberies in Halethorpe and Owings Mills. According to prosecutors in both heists, Herring and his accomplice, Rico Daschel of Fort Washington, acted as customers before pulling out guns and stealing electronics. Herring faces life in prison when he is sentenced on May 31st. Daschel pleaded guilty to charges and is serving a 12-year sentence. A popular car company recalls thousands of trucks, making it one of the largest recalls in the U.S. this year. General Motors recalls about 570,000 trucks in the U.S. and 250,000 in Canada. The vehicles include Chevrolet Silverado, GMC Sierra from 2020 through this year. According to reports, if water gets in the truck's tailgate, it could potentially open unexpectedly. The automotive company says it has received 136 complaints of the tailgates opening while the truck is in motion. And now let's check in with Simon Buggs with sports.
What's up, sports fans? And coming up on your Tuesday sports page, UMD head football coach Mike Locksley receives an award for the work he's done off the field. That story and more in a bit. Stay tuned.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. If you could see you through my eyes instead of your ego, I believe you'd be surprised to see that you've been blind. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Yeah, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Jason, let's go see your room.
How was it? Is it good?
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Okay, everyone, we begin your Tuesday sports page with some college football news. Terps head football coach Mike Locksley has done good work on the field as he's kept the team competitive during his time at the helm. But it's the work he's done off the field that's even more impressive. And that was recognized as he, as well as two other members of the athletic department, were given the Provost Do Good Innovator Awards. This award was created to highlight people on campus that amplify social impact through education, programs, and research. And Locksley has done just that as he founded the National Coalition of Minority Football Coaches. The NCMFC was created in order to increase awareness and encourage fair and equal hiring at all levels of football. Moving on to more Terp sports news, 3 guards from the women's basketball team and Cheyenne Sellers, Jakia Brown-Turner, and Bree McDaniel earned all Big Ten honors today. Sellers, who earned first-team honors for the second season in a row, leads the Lady Terps in points per game with 15 and assists with 5. She's also scored in double figures in 22 of 28 games played. Brown-Turner, who was named to the second team, averaged a team-high almost 16 points a game during conference play. The Oxon Hill native also led the team in rebounding with almost 7 a game. She's also recorded 6 double-doubles on the year. And McDaniel, who was an honorable mention, led the Lady Terps in steals with 48 this season. She's also increased her scoring output by 10 points this season and scored in double digits in 18 games. Switching gears to high school basketball, the playoffs continue tonight as CMIT North takes on the South, Bowie tries to stay alive versus Broadneck, and Laurel will try to advance when they take on Norwood, and Wise will match up against Duval at home. Wise and Duval play at 6:30, while the rest of the games tip off at 6 o'clock. And that is your Tuesday sports page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
Thanks, Simon. And now let's take a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight will be mostly cloudy and foggy, so be careful on the roads. Wednesday, we have a 90% chance of rain with a high of 59. Thursday, that chance of rain drops to 30%. Friday, we can close the week out nice and dry. It'll be partly sunny with a high of 57. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, and be sure to return here tomorrow at 4:30, 5:30, 8:30, and 11:30. Have a great night.